Hello. Wow. Never thought I'd hear that mashup. Holy shit, guys. I don't know what the fuck happened to my notifications. They used to be like notification pop-ups that I made, and now they're a bunch of random shit. So, all right, what we got here? You're muted, says Nomad. Casper says, dude, just making sure it works. You never know. It's okay, Casper's joking. It's something I do too. Come in cat rave and get good all at once. Oh no. Back to back. No, he may not. Son of a bee. We have our chicken attack. Christmas. All I want for Christmas medley. The cluster peak. Did I have a stroke? All right. Yes, you did, Gasp. All right, guys. Are you ready? Are you ready for the thing we've all been waiting for, which I personally cannot wait for? The Clanker Chronicles Christmas holiday one-shot special. Holiday special one-shot extravaganza extraordinaire. Carlos is here. Carlos, do you want to be in the story? You just let me know if you want to be in the story. Aye, hydrate. I will hydrate. I've been hydrating. Lots of hydration happening over here. I'm happy watching while I can't still be able to stick around long. Okay, no worries. Carlos will be out. No, not you, streamer. Oh, hydrate for other people. Okay, well, everyone hydrate. Keep hydrated. Same as earlier, Wolfie. Lavender chamomile tea, which is very cold now. And blackberry bubbly and water. If y'all want, I'll be the communal step bro. Oh my god. If you want to be in the story, you got to give me gender, sexual orientation, and up to 3 facts or features about yourself. And it's going to be like a fantasy story, so it's got to fit into that world. But we have the first chapter made, so let's go with that, and we can add you in if you want after the first chapter. Love you lots. All right, folks, are you ready? Chapter 1. You have a new world. Unless you look like an eldritch horror, that's a pass for me, Carlos. Right, because Casper has a thing for eldritch horrors. I mean, well, Carlos is an eldritch horror, but, you know, probably doesn't look like one. Start writing, y'all. All right, folks, let's go. Chapter 1. Evergloam opens its eyes. Evergloam wore winter the way a queen wore jewels, with intention, with weight, with the sort of glitter that promised consequences. Snow drifted in slow spirals above the cobblestones, never truly landing until it felt seen. Lanterns swung on wrought iron hooks, their light the color of honeyed whiskey, their flames flickering like they were eavesdropping. Somewhere, a bell chimed for no visible reason, then chimed again as if pleased with itself. Shop windows glowed with impossible displays, velvet gloves that sighed when touched, ornaments that hummed in harmony, ribbons that untied themselves and slithered back into neat bows. The air carried pine and sugar, and a faint metallic tang, as though the city's holiday spirit had teeth and had been testing them on the night. All of it felt slightly too alive. Sexual orientation is step bro, and I'm as close to an eldritch horror as it gets. That doesn't really work. That's not going to help me with the AI. And killers from TBT. Not all of them. I'd punt Chucky and Spring Chat into the fucking sun. All right, guys. You gotta stop reading chat and keep reading the story. All of it felt slightly too alive. A carriage rolled down Cinder Lane on wheels that never quite met the ground. Its driver wore a coat stitched from midnight and muttered to the reins in a language the horses appreciated. The carriage's door bore a crest, a cat's paw print pressed into wax. lacquered over with the sheen of authority. When it stopped, the city leaned in. The door opened. Veronica stepped out. She arrived the way a verdict arrives, decisive, beautifully dressed, and already halfway too inconvenient for anyone hoping to behave poorly. Pink hair spilled in soft waves that looked like they'd been styled by a god who enjoyed drama. Her lips held a smile that belonged to someone who had read the script, edited it, and left a few surprise footnotes for the universe to trip over later. Her outfit moved like living couture, a structured coat with glossy lapels and a hem that shimmered with tiny stitched sigils, boots that clicked with a rhythm the street immediately adopted, gloves that suggested both elegance and potential legal consequences. Evergloam's lantern light brightened a fraction. Veronica tilted her head, listening. The city's sounds gathered themselves, as though they'd been caught gossiping. "All right," she said, voice smooth and amused. "Which one of you decided the holiday needed additional personality this year?" A gust of wind answered by tossing a flurry of snow directly at her shoulder. Veronica lifted one gloved hand. The snow stopped midair, suspended like a chandelier made of frost. She inspected it with the same energy someone might reserve for a questionable appetizer. She murmured. Bold. She snapped her fingers. The frozen cloud rearranged itself into a neat, floating wreath that hung politely above the carriage door, shimmering like it wanted applause. From a shadowed archway nearby came the faint click of metal and the soft scrape of something heavy, shifting its stance. Veronica's gaze slid sideways. A figure stepped into the lantern light with the presence of a problem that had learned patience. Thick armor covered his upper body and legs, built for war and endurance. Chains wrapped his arms, the links connected to gauntlets that looked capable of crushing stone into confetti. His hair caught snowflakes and refused to let them melt, as though winter itself found him worth decorating. His eyes glowed mint green, the light steady, protective, calmly lethal. Wolfie bowed his head, slow and precise, the motion practiced. Loyalty lived in that movement, and something softer that he carried like a secret. "You're late," Veronica said. Wolfie's shoulders dipped further, devotion turning the word into an apology without sound. Veronica walked past him, close enough that her coat brushed the edge of his armor. She paused at his side, fingers grazing one chain link, testing its tension. The metal rang a quiet note that made the nearby lantern flames straighten like they'd been corrected by a stern teacher. "Good," she said, and the single syllable landed like a gift. Wolfie inhaled as if that word fed him. The street ahead opened into Evergloam's main square, a circular plaza paved in dark stone that shone under the snow like a polished mirror. In the center stood the evergreen obelisk, carved with runes that shifted subtly, as though the language itself enjoyed improvisation. Around it gathered the city's holiday market, sprawling and bright, the stalls draped in garlands and charms, and strands of glowing crystal that pretended to be decorative. People moved between the booths with warm drinks and warmer secrets, laughter rising in curls, music threading itself through the air like a spell that had learned to dance. Somewhere among the crowd, a voice shouted, "Hot cocoa, spiced cider, emotional support pastries." Veronica's smile widened. A loud metallic thud interrupted the cheer. Then another. Then a voice, amplified by joy and questionable judgment, rang out across the square. "Naughty!" Heads turned. Vendors froze mid-handshake. A group of carolers hit a sustained note of surprise and held it far too long. From the far end of the market came the sight of a bulky figure stomping through the snow in red and white power armor, the paint job festive in a way that implied a committee had begged him to stop and failed. A little Santa hat sat atop his head like it was the only thing keeping reality from filing a complaint. Samuel Claus.
I brought these gifts for you. They're up in my bum.
Oh my God, Carlos. Thank you so much for the gift subs. Holy shit. Merry Christmas as well. Wait, what's going on? Merry Christmas. Let me catch up on chat. Are you sure? You sure? Are you sure? Think they will do that to you and make you succulent meatball? Chucky and Springtrap. Super fun times had by all. Are you leaving, Raps, or? I did not eat dinner yet, but that's fine. I had a snack. He sounds Canadian. Apologize before even speaking. My company is here. Oh, okay, I wasn't able to stick around for the story. Glad I got to stick around longer than usual. Yeah, thank you so much, Carlos. It was lovely to have you here. Really good to see you. Much love. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for the gift subs. Do you want your fortune cookie before you leave? Emotional support, Beatrice. Yes. Merry Christmas, fan. Sorry for the interruption. No worries, Carlos. Do you want your fortune cookie? Or are you gone? Also, Raps, I don't know. I don't recall seeing your, like, did you want to be in the story? I don't remember if you're in there. Let me look. No, you're not. Did you want to be in the story, Raps? Cookies next time. Okay, remind me. Or you can just DM me. I'll get you one whenever. Okay. Back to the story, folks. If you want to be Raps in the story, put gender, sexual orientation, and up to 3 facts about your character in the chat, and I'll add it in. Okay. Sam, I hope you're still here. All right, so we had a little Santa hat on his head, like it was the only thing keeping reality from filing a complaint. Samuel Claus advanced with the confident stride of someone who believed wholeheartedly in his mission and had never once been slowed by a second thought. Over one shoulder hung a sack that sagged with the unmistakable density of doom. In one hand, he held a slingshot. In the other, a candy cane sharpened to a menacing point. I will have a hydration moment. He raised his sack like a righteous meteor. A man near a stall of imported spices lifted both hands. I was just negotiating. Sammy Claus swung. The sack connected with a sound like a bell being rung by an angry mountain. Naughty, Sammy declared again, satisfied, then reached to a box in the back of a cobbled-together sleigh parked crookedly beside the stalls. He pulled out a wrapped bundle of chocolates and a small toy dragon that sneezed glitter. He turned to a wide-eyed child watching from behind her mother's coat. Good girl, he said warmly, handing over the gift as though the entire world made sense through this single exchange. The child accepted it with reverence. The toy dragon sneezed again, coating her mittens in sparkles. Veronica watched, lips pursed in admiration that didn't bother hiding its amusement. Wolfie's eyes remained mint green, palm held steady, his posture subtly angled toward Veronica as though he existed as a moving shield. Sammy Claus spotted Veronica. His face lit up like he'd seen a celebrity and a worthy cause in the same moment. Veronica, he boomed, stomping toward her. The snow trembled at each step. You're here! Perfect! The naughty levels are outrageous! Veronica's gaze traveled over his armor, the candy cane, the slingshot, the glitter-sneezing dragon. She took it in with a slow appreciation of someone evaluating a wildly expensive piece of art that might also explode. Samuel Claus, she said, you look like a holiday spirit possessed a scrapyard and won. Sammy grinned, delighted by the assessment. He made a sound that could have been laughter, a revving noise, or both. He offered her a small bottle. More milk, he asked, earnest. Hydration. Veronica accepted it because refusing would have felt like picking a fight with the tradition. She tucked it into her coat with the dignity of someone accepting a ceremonial dagger. Behind them, the evergreen obelisk's runes flickered. The air tightened. A thin ripple moved through the square, barely visible, like the world's surface had been tapped with a fingernail. Veronica's eyes narrowed slightly. Evergloam's lanterns shifted their sway, as if the city itself had caught a scent. Wolfie's mint green glow deepened. Sammy Claus turned, squinting. Is that a vibe problem? The ripple came again, stronger. The market's laughter wavered, then resumed with a forced brightness. From nowhere and everywhere at once, a whisper threaded through the square. The holiday is waking up. Veronica set her bottle of milk against her palm and smiled, slow and dangerous in a way that promised entertainment. All right, she said softly, to the city, to the night, to whatever had decided to push. Let's see what you've been saving for me. And somewhere beyond the stalls, beyond the bells, beyond the polite boundary Evergloam usually maintained, something unseen adjusted its grip on the night and began to pull. All right, we have 2 characters so far, aside from Veronica. Naughty. I am the glorious claws. Samta. All right, so it hasn't given me options like to choose from. If you guys really want that, I will prompt it to do that. Or we can just jump right into chapter 2. That naughty quote hit different. So far, I'm the best character, says Sam. Well, I hope everyone thinks that they're the best character, because that's what I'm going for. All right, I'm just going to ask for chapter 2. All right. Chapter 2. The city accepts a dare. The ripple did not fade. It spread the way gossip spreads, sliding from cobblestone to cobblestone, slipping under coats, lingering in cups of cider long enough to add a metallic aftertaste. Evergloam responded with enthusiasm. Lanterns brightened, then dimmed, settling into a rhythm that felt intentional. Bells chimed again, this time harmonizing with one another like they'd rehearsed. Veronica stepped forward, boots clicking approval into the stone. The square rearranged itself just enough to give her space. Vendors found their stalls drifting a polite distance away. People sensed significance without needing explanation and shuffled accordingly, drawn by curiosity and a deep, unexamined instinct to witness something memorable. Wolfie stayed at her shoulder, chains whispering softly with each step. His eyes held their mint green glow, steady and watchful, though the air tugged at him like an itch that wanted scratching. Sammy Claus cracked his neck and peered around, sack of coal resting comfortably against his leg. Holiday energy's doing that thing, he said, nodding at the air like it had personally offended him. Feels fizzy. That's because someone stirred it, Veronica replied, and they used a wooden spoon. Right on cue, a figure tipped out of thin air near the edge of the square, landing in a drift of snow with a theatrical roll that ended in a seated bow. He wore a wide-brimmed hat dusted with frost and confidence, its shadow cutting his grin into something rakish and pleased. Nomad stood, brushing snow from his coat as though it had arrived purely for decoration. Well, he said, surveying the square with open delight. This place understood the assignment. Veronica's eyes flicked to him, recognition sparking. You look like someone who signed paperwork they didn't read closely enough. Nomad tipped his hat. I prefer to think of it as creative trust. The market leaned in again. Somewhere, a string of lights popped and relit itself in a new color. Wolfie's chains tightened a fraction. His eyes shimmered, a flicker of purple sliding across the mint, electricity humming just beneath his skin. Nomad noticed and smiled wider. Ah, you brought the dramatic one. I bring whatever the night requires, Veronica said, and sometimes it requires restraint. Nomad placed a hand over his heart. Music to my ears. I was hired to add a little sparkle, a surprise, a nudge toward memorable. The ripple surged. A translucent figure burst up through the stones near the obelisk with a wail that echoed impressively before collapsing into a cough. A ghostly shape wavered, pale and luminous, arms thrown wide in what was meant to be haunting grandeur. Fear me, the apparition boomed, then immediately passed through a decorative bench and face-planted into a snowbank. Ow! The shape reassembled itself, dignity taking a moment to arrive. Willow hovered upright, glow flickering. Okay, warm-up haunting. That one didn't count. Several people clapped. Someone tossed a coin. It passed straight through him and landed at Sammy Claus's feet. Sammy picked it up, inspected it, then looked at Willow. You being naughty or just spooky? Willow puffed up. I am an agent of terror. Sammy nodded thoughtfully. Okay, we'll circle back. A sharp pop sounded behind them, followed by the faint smell of ozone and cologne. A pale, blue-skinned man appeared mid-stride, already leaning into a smirk. Runes traced elegant paths across his body, glowing faintly as they settled. Casper adjusted his collar, eyes sweeping the square like it was a ballroom curated for his benefit. Ah, he said, I felt romance in the air. Veronica raised a brow. Casper caught her gaze and froze, struck by something between awe and ambition. He straightened, smile sharpening. And there you are. Fate does such beautiful work this time of year. Wolfie's eyes flashed, purple light crackling for half a breath. Casper blinked, then laughed lightly, hands raised in easy surrender. Respectfully, admiring from a safe distance. The runes along his arms pulsed, then dimmed, as if slightly embarrassed. From the far side of the square, a man stood quietly among the crowd. Hands folded, expression thoughtful. He wore no armor, no glow, no obvious theatrics. His presence carried weight anyway, like a deep note held under a melody. Jovi stepped forward, gaze lifting to the obelisk, then to the lanterns, then finally to Veronica. The city is participating, he said calmly. That suggests intention. Intention invites consequence. Sammy Claus nodded, pleased. See? That's what I was feeling. Nomad clapped his hands once, delighted. Look at this turnout. Honestly, I should charge extra. The obelisk's runes surged, rearranging themselves into sharper lines. Snow began to fall faster, flakes humming faintly as they landed. The whisper returned, louder now, threaded through laughter and breath and bells. Containment is loosening. Now I'll hydrate. Thank you. Dramatic one. I embody the very jolly spirit itself. Of course, I'm the best. Hey, soft boy, welcome on in. How are ya? Just got done with a 5-hour gaming session with some cool people on Warframe. That's fun. Amazing. We did some Warframe earlier. You must hydrate with milk for this story, Seth. I don't have milk, Sam, so my drinks will have to do. I wore out. I imagine. The long gaming sesh. All right. Veronica stepped into the center of the square, hope flaring like punctuation. The city responded by quieting, sound pooling around her feet. She looked at the assembled chaos, at the loyal danger, the hired instigator, the enthusiastic enforcer, the aspiring ghost, the incorrigible flirt, the thoughtful witness. Her smile curved, satisfied. Well, she said, voice carrying easily, since everyone's here and the knight is clearly in a mood, we may as well do this properly. Wolfie's chain sang softly. Sammy hefted his sack with joy. Nomad tipped his hat again. Willow practiced looming behind a lamppost. Casper smoothed his hair and failed to look casual. Joby closed his eyes briefly, as if in prayer, then opened them with resolve. Above them all, the holiday spirit stretched, testing its reach, delighted by the attention. Evergloam held its breath. And somewhere deep in the city's bones, something old and festive and feral smiled back. That Clanker's cooking. Hey, soft. Want some milk? No romance in this one, Jovi. My love is the holiday itself. Alright, guys. I hope you like your character. I took your characters. I took every single one of your characters and I gave it my own little twist. So, yeah. We'll see where the story takes us. No worries, I'm a bartender. All right, guys. Next chapter. Next chapter. My own little twist. Yep. Waiting for the fast cycle in Warframe so I can hunt down the tank for companion. Sounds like you twisted just right. Yes. I had to add a little something something to make it extra chaotic and fun. Okay. Chapter 3. Bells learn new meanings. The first bell rang too close. It wasn't attached to a door or a tower or anything sensible. It rang from the space between heartbeats, sharp and pleased with itself. Evergloam answered by exhaling. Snow shifted direction. Footprints filled themselves in. The obelisk's runes softened into curves that suggested motion rather than warning. Veronica rolled one shoulder, coat settling like a decision finalizing. All right, she said, conversational. Everyone stay exactly as competent as you already are. Sammy Claus saluted with his slingshot. Copy that. Willow drifted higher, attempting a menacing silhouette against a lantern. The lantern obligingly flickered, then brightened, outlining him like a festival decoration. Casper appeared beside Veronica in a soft pop of displaced air, offering a grin polished to a mirror shine. If the night requires a charming escort, Veronica's gaze slid to him, leisurely, precise. If the night requires flirting, it will file a request. Casper laughed, delighted, and vanished again, reappearing a respectful distance away and pretending this had always been the plan. Wolfie shifted, boots grinding lightly against stone. The mint green glow of his eyes deepened, then rippled. Purple threaded through it, electricity whispering along his armor seams. The chains around his arms tightened themselves, reacting to the pressure in the air. Nomad watched this with the interest of someone observing weather patterns. You feel that? He asked Jovi. The holiday's winding up, like it's about to throw something. Jovi nodded slowly. Celebrations gather energy. Suppressed things enjoy invitations. The second bell rang from above. Snow peeled away from the sky in a wide circle, revealing a shimmer like glass flexing under pressure. The market stalls drifted outward another step, granting the square a respectful perimeter. People lingered at the edges, drawn by fascination and a sense that leaving would feel like missing the punchline to a very elaborate joke. Hey, Will. Did you miss your intro? From the distortion descended a shape that felt assembled from expectation. It wore no fixed form, favoring suggestion instead. Ribbons of light looped around a core of brightness that pulsed in time with the bells. His presence warmed the air, then cooled it again, cycling through sensations with theatrical patience. The holiday regarded them. It radiated cheer sharpened to something insistent. Generosity edged with demand, joy with opinions. Willow gasped. Oh, wow, okay, that's actually intimidating. Sammy Claus planted his feet, sack resting against the ground like an anchor. Hey, he called up, cheerful and loud, you behaving? The holiday's ribbons fluttered. The bells chimed again, quicker now. The night wants expression, the whisper threaded through them. It wants release. It wants to be felt fully. Veronica tilted her head, studying it the way one might assess a performance. You've already been felt, she said. You're echoing. The holiday pulsed brighter, a flare of color washing over the square. Decorations trembled. Laughter spiked, then caught, people clutching at sudden surges of emotion they hadn't scheduled. Wolfie growled low, a sound that vibrated through the chains and into the stone. His eyes flared red for a breath, energy spilling outward in curling arcs that cracked the snow beneath his feet. Veronica's hands lifted, 2 fingers brushing his chain again. Not a command. A reminder. The red receded, mint and purple reasserting themselves, power folding back into restraint. Nomad let out a low whistle. That's some premium tension. Casper teleported closer to the edge of the square, hands spread as though addressing an audience. I can distract it. I've distracted worse. Dobie's gaze remained steady on the floating presence. It's amplifying what already exists, he said quietly. Desire, judgment, indulgence, correction. The city's habits are feeding it. Sammy Claus brightened. Oh, like when you don't chew a problem and just swallow it whole. Veronica smiled at that, brief and genuine. The holiday drifted lower, bells chiming in overlapping patterns now, a cascade of sound that pulled at nerves and memories alike. Snowflakes clung to lashes, to hair, to breath. Veronica stepped forward alone. The square responded, stone warming beneath her boots. You've had a good run, she said calmly. You've been adored, resented, exploited, ritualized. You've carried a lot. The holiday's light stuttered, curiosity rippling through it. You don't need to tear the city open to be real, Veronica continued. You already are. You just want attention with teeth. A pause. A bell chimed once, uncertain. Behind her, the group held their positions, Wolfie steady and vibrating with contained force, Sammy grounded and grinning, Nomad alert and pleased, Willow hovering, practicing menace with renewed focus, Casper watching with theatrical devotion, Dobie breathing slow, anchoring the moment. The holiday hovered, wisp ribbons twisting inward, considering. Then the bells rang again, playful and defiant, and the light surged outward, spilling into the streets beyond the square. Windows flared, doors creaked open. Somewhere, laughter tipped into shouting. Somewhere else, a confession escaped before it could be swallowed. Nomad laughed softly. Looks like it shows escalation. Veronica sighed, fond and irritated in equal measure. Of course it did. She turned back to her assembled chaos, eyes bright, smile sharp with anticipation. All right, she said. We're taking a walk. The city answered by opening a path, and Evergloam followed. Will says, can you send it to me if you can? Will, I can read your introduction again, okay? Or yeah, how you joined originally. Where is it? Okay. Nope, that's not it. There we go. All right. So there was a ripple in reality, essentially. The ripple surged. A translucent figure burst up through the stones near the obelisk with a wail that echoed impressively before collapsing into a cough. A ghostly shape wavered, pale and luminous, arms thrown wide in what was meant to be haunting grandeur. Fear me, the apparition boomed, then immediately passed through a decorative bench and face-planted into a snowbank. Ow! The shape reassembled itself, dignity taking a moment to arrive. Willow hovered upright, glow flickering. Okay, warm-up haunting. That one didn't count. Several people clapped. Someone tossed a coin. It passed straight through him and landed at Sammy Claus's feet. Sammy picked it up, inspected it, then looked at Willow. You been naughty or just spooky? Willow puffed up. I am an agent of terror. Sammy nodded thoughtfully. Okay, we'll circle back. That was your intro, Willow. Toss a coin to your ghosty. Yeah, exactly. All right. What the fuck says Will? All right. Next chapter, folks. Plenty goofy. Everyone's goofy. Ads are starting in a minute, guys. I don't want anyone to get caught in them. So if ads start and you get caught in ads, can you please put a message in the chat and we'll pause the story? Okay. I guess you'll see, Will. I guess we'll see how that develops. Most of us, yeah, I think most of us have said no. Yeah, I agreed. All right. I wonder if there's a way. You can only snooze it for a little bit at a time, unfortunately. So, yes, call it if you have ads. Exactly. All right. Chapter 4: The Street That Remembers Names. The path Evergloam opened did not exist a moment ago. It unspooled ahead of them in smooth, dark stone, brushed clean by unseen hands, curving away from the square with the confidence of something that knew where it was going. Lanterns along its edges leaned inward, eager, their light stretching just enough to keep the way illuminated. The market's noise softened behind them, laughter and bells blurring into a distant, watchful hum. Veronica stepped onto the street without hesitation. The city reacted immediately. The stones warmed beneath her boots, runes blooming along their surface like flowers remembering how to exist. Each step sent a ripple outward, the street responding as though it had been waiting for her weight, her rhythm, her attention. This is a memory road, Joby said quietly, eyes scanning the markings as they shifted. Places like this keep track of who matters. Sammy Claus beamed. Love a place with good record keeping. Wolfie moved in close formation, chains low and quiet, his eyes glowing purple now, electricity tracing disciplined paths along his armor. The street seemed aware of him, widening slightly at his passing, respectful of the force he carried so carefully. Casper appeared ahead of them in a soft burst of light, walking backward with a flourish. It's romantic, he declared, a little dangerous, very intimate. The street knows us already. The runes beneath his feet flickered, spelling his name briefly before rearranging themselves into something less flattering and then settling again. Casper cleared his throat and turned around. Behind them, Willow drifted, attempting a haunting glide that kept getting interrupted by the street subtly adjusting its airflow. His glow flared brighter each time he bumped into an invisible eddy. I swear, he muttered, this place is sabotaging me. Nomad strolled near the back, hands tucked into his coat, eyes darting with interest. Oh, it's cooperating, he said lightly. Just has opinions. The bells rang again, farther away now. Their tone changed. Less insistent. More curious. The holiday's presence followed them like a tide that had learned patience. Light spilled along the rooftops, tracing eaves and chimneys, slipping into windows and coaxing reactions from inside. A door burst open as they passed, a couple arguing in whispers that suddenly became laughter. Another window flared with sudden tears, then relief. The street recorded it all. Veronica slowed near an intersection where the lanterns clustered tighter, their glow thick and amber. At the corner stood a tall archway of stone and evergreen boughs, its surface etched with names that shimmered in and out of legibility. Whoopi's eyes flickered red for a heartbeat, energy stirring as the names brushed against something old in him. His chains rattled softly, then settled as Veronica reached back and rested her hand against his wrist. The red glow ebbed, replaced by mint green calm, threaded with purple resolve. This is where it turns personal, Veronica said, examining the archway. Evergloam's favorite phase. Sammy hefted his sack. I can bonk personal. Later, she replied, fondly. The holiday's light gathered above the archway, bells chiming in a pattern that felt expectant. The runes along the stone brightened, forming words that rearranged themselves faster than the eye could follow. Joby stepped closer, reading the flow rather than the letters. It's inviting participation, he said. Acknowledgement. Recognition. Nomad chuckled. See? Team-building exercise. The archway pulsed. A name burned briefly into the stone, then another, then several at once, each glowing as if freshly remembered. The street hummed, pleased with itself, drawing attention to every presence walking it. Willow gasped as his name flared bright blue, the glow lingering longer than expected. He straightened mid-hover, astonished. Oh, wow, it knows me. Casper's name followed, hurling an elegant script that shimmered flirtatiously before dissolving into runes shaped like question marks. Sammy's name appeared in bold, blocky letters, accompanied by a burst of confetti from nowhere. He laughed, delighted, and waved at the archway. Wolfie's name did not appear. The street hesitated, runes stuttering, light flickering as though searching for the right language. Wolfie stiffened, breath hitching. Veronica turned fully then, gaze sharp and attentive. She stepped closer to the archway, placing her palm flat against the stone. The runes surged, responding to her touch, rearranging themselves into a steady, respectful glow. "He belongs," she said, voice even, certain. "You know that." The street shuddered, then complied. A symbol appeared instead of a name. A chain looped into a sigil of containment and choice, glowing softly before sinking back into the stone. Wolfie exhaled, shoulders lowering. The holiday's bells chimed, a sound threaded with something like satisfaction. The archway opened. Beyond it stretched a narrower street, darker, quieter, the lanterns spaced farther apart. At its far end stood a door made of layered wood and iron, its surface carved with scenes of celebration that gradually gave way to something wilder, less restrained. Veronica smiled, eyes bright with anticipation. "Good," she said, and is ready to talk about what it's been holding. She stepped through the archway, her coat brushing the threshold like a promise. The others followed. Behind them, the street sealed itself, names fading, runes settling into rest. Ahead, the door waited, and the bells fell silent. All right. You can snooze for a bit until it forces it. Yeah, I may as well just get it over with. Can I possess? Says Will. I guess we'll find out. Why do you want to possess so bad? A ghost thing. Please, says Will. It's not up to Seth. It's up to the Clanker. We'll see. So far, we do a lot of attempted haunting, so my voice is starting to get a little bit irritated from all the talking tonight. What'd Wolfie do to the street? There's beef. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the street rejected him at first a little bit. Had to be told what's up. Clanker, do what the Clanker does. Sure does. All right. Next chapter. The street is a cat person and doesn't like Wolfie. That's as good a theory as any, Sam. Apparently. Okay. Chapter 5. What the door was practicing. The door waited the way something waits when it knows it will be opened. Layered wood bore the marks of many hands, many seasons. Iron bands wrapped it in careful restraint, etched with scenes that shifted as the lantern light moved. Laughter carved into the grain softened into revelry, revelry into indulgence, indulgence into something wilder and less curated. The handle gleamed, warm to the eye, as though it had been held often and recently. Veronica stopped an arm's length away. The city hushed around them. Snow slowed, lakes drifting with deliberate grace. The air felt attentive, stretched thin like a held note. "This door remembers promises," Joey said softly, reading the way the carvings breathed. "Spoken ones, implied ones, the kind people make while celebrating." Sammy Claus leaned in, squinting. "That one looks like a vow made after 3 drinks and a dare." Nomad grinned. "Those are the sturdy ones." The bells did not ring. Their silence pressed closer than sound ever had. Casper appeared beside the door, fingers hovering near the handle, admiration bright on his face. "It's beautiful," he murmured. "Intimate, inviting." The iron bands hummed in response, a vibration that traveled up his arm. He withdrew his hand with a polite nod. "We're getting acquainted." Willow drifted forward, attempting a dramatic possession of the door. "Haha, there you go, Will." He passed through it, paused, then popped back out, blinking. "Okay, so it noticed me." Wolfie shifted, chains tightening and loosening in a slow rhythm. His eyes glowed purple now, electricity threading through his stance with focused restraint. The door reflected that light faintly, acknowledging power without challenging it. Veronica placed her palm against the handle. The carving stilled. The door breathed in. "You've been busy," she said, voice low and amused. "Collecting feelings, saving them up, letting them ferment." The handle warmed beneath her hand, responding to recognition. The iron bands softened their hum into something like a purr, the sound running through the street and into the stones beneath their feet. Thanks for the hydrate. I hope I don't just lose my voice entirely. That would be bad. The holiday's presents gathered behind them, light pooling in the narrow street, ribbons of brightness curling with interest. Its bells remained quiet, listening. Veronica turned her head slightly. "You wanted expression," she said, addressing the glow without looking at it. "You found a place to put it. That counts as initiative." The light pulsed, pleased. She turned back to the door and pushed. It opened inward, revealing a room that felt larger than the street allowed. Warmth rolled out, scented with pine resin, sugar, old wood, and the sharp tang of truth told too late to be taken back. Lanterns hung from beams that arched overhead, their glow steady and deep. "Hey, Exalted, welcome on in. How are you tonight?" I will read the rest of the chat in a minute. Lanterns hung from beams that arched overhead, their glow steady and deep. The floor bore scuff marks from dancing boots and the faint outlines of circles where people had stood and decided things. At the center of the room stood a long table, set with cups, plates, and objects that did not belong together. A crown woven from evergreen and wire, a ledger bound in red leather, a bell with no clapper, a length of chain coiled neatly, waiting. The door closed behind them with a sound that felt satisfied. "This," Nomad said, eyes bright, "is a holding room." Joby nodded. "A place where excess waits to be understood." Sammy Claus perked up at the table. "Is that milk?" He lifted a cup, sniffed, then nodded approvingly and set it back down. "Hydration station." Willow drifted toward the bell, reaching for it with reverence. His hand passed through. He sighed. "Soon." Casper circled the table, gaze lingering on the crown. That would look very good on someone important. Wolfie stood near Veronica, posture grounded, eyes shifting briefly to mint green as the room settled around them. The chains around his arms lay still, content with the space. The holiday's light seeped in through the walls, softening as it entered, its ribbons slowing, learning the room's space. The bells chimed once, gentle, curious. Veronica walked to the table and rested her fingertips against the ledger. It opened on its own, pages fluttering until they settled on a blank spread. Ink pooled, waiting for instruction. "This is where you decide what you carry forward," she said, addressing the room, the night, the presence hovering at the edges. "What gets released, what gets transformed." The holiday brightened, attentive. Outside, Everglow held steady, streets breathing, lanterns watching. Inside, the room leaned in, and the night prepared to tell the truth it had been rehearsing all along. All right. Catching up on chat. The senpai has noticed you will. Use sign language if you do. She needs some milk. If you need to stop, then stop. No use losing your voice. No, it'll be fine. Again, welcome, Exalted. Samuel Claus has goat's milk and cow's milk. She can choose. Oh my god. I agree with Casper. How goes it, Wolfie? Doing all right, bro? Chilling, mostly listening to Purr. How are you doing? We're doing a thing called, that we do a lot of, that's called the Clanker Chronicles, where we have AI write us a story in real time with characters from the community. That yeah, it's just a really fun time. If you want to stick around for the rest of the story and you want to be included, just say so. You need to put the gender you want your character to be, the sexual orientation, and the up to three facts or features about your character. That's some more of my drink. I'm gonna eat some more of this cookie too, because it's here. I'll just spectate. Okay. All right. Chapter 6. The table takes attendance. The ledger's pages shimmered, the blank spread breathing as if it were deciding how much honesty the room could handle at once. Yes, please, shout out Raps, for sure. Does Raps stream? I don't know if he streams. Certainly shout out Carlos. I totally forgot for that. What? You do stream? Okay. I should follow you then, perhaps. Oh, no, you don't. Okay. So, he doesn't stream, so there's no point shouting him out if he's not streaming. If he doesn't stream, Wolfie. But you can shout out Carlos for sure. Okay. Let's back to the story. The ledger's pages shimmered, the blank spread breathing as if it were deciding how much honesty the room could handle at once. Ink gathered into slow-moving eddies, forming shapes that dissolved before becoming words. The table hummed beneath it all, wood remembering hands, remembering weight, remembering nights that refused to stay tidy. Veronica remained still, fingertips resting lightly on the page. The room responded by settling further, beams creaking into a deeper alignment, lanterns lowering their glow to something intimate and expectant. This isn't a trial, she said, voice calm, assured. It's a reckoning with style. Sammy Claus laughed softly, pleased. Best kind. The holiday drifted closer, its ribbons dimming into warmer hues, curiosity replacing urgency. Bells chimed once, a small sound that felt like agreement. The ink moved. A name surfaced on the ledger's page, letters forming with deliberate care. Willow. Willow gasped, glow flaring bright enough to cast ghostly shadows on the beams. Okay, this is it. This is my moment. The air around him thickened, the room granting him weight, just enough to feel real. His form sharpened, edges gaining definition, presence settling into him like borrowed courage. You've been practicing, Veronica observed. Showing up even when the timing fights you. Willow straightened, hovering higher. I've been rehearsing impact. The ledger's ink rippled again, absorbing that phrase. A faint echo of laughter rippled through the room, fond, rather than mocking. Willow's glow steadied, confidence anchoring itself in something quieter. The name faded, leaving a faint imprint behind, like chalk brushed from a board. Another name surfaced. Casper. Casper stepped forward immediately, posture impeccable. I knew it. The runes along his skin pulsed, warm and eager, tracing patterns that leaned toward the crown on the table. The room seemed amused, lantern light flickering in playful acknowledgement. You chase admiration, Veronica said, eyes on the page. You enjoy being seen. Casper nodded, unabashed. Visibility is powerful. The ink flowed, forming a looping symbol beside his name, then settling. The crown shifted slightly, evergreen needles brushing the tabletop, waiting without insistence. Casper inhaled, something thoughtful threading through his usual bravado. He stepped back, grinned softer, interest redirected inward for once. The ledger turned its page on its own. Nomad. Nomad tipped his hat, delighted. Ah, contractual review. The ink danced faster now, words forming and unforming like clauses being tested. The room's energy sharpened, mischief tightening into focus. You introduce motion, Veronica said. You create openings. Nomad's smile held steady, appreciation glinting in his eyes. I take pride in good disruption. The ink sealed a mark beside his name, neat and decisive. Somewhere in the walls, a latch clicked into place, a future complication agreeing to wait its turn. The page shifted again. Samuel Claus. Sammy stood taller. All right, Sam. Hydration. Sammy stood taller, sack resting against his leg like a loyal companion. Present. The room warmed further, the scent of sugar deepening. The bell on the table trembled, eager. You enforce joy, Veronica said. Protect celebration by engaging with its mess. Sammy nodded solemnly. Someone's gotta. The ink surged, bold and bright, then settled into a firm line that felt satisfied. The bell chimed once, approving. Sammy grinned, victorious. The ledger hesitated. The air tightened gently, attention drawing inward. Veronica looked up, meeting the holiday's glow directly now. Your turn, she said. The light pulsed, ribbons drawing closer, slower, thoughtful. The ink spread across the page without forming a name, instead shaping a pattern that resembled bells, ribbons, thresholds. You've been carrying more than you admit, Veronica continued. Expectation accumulates. Pressure shapes behavior. The holiday's glow softened further, warmth replacing insistence. The bells chimed in a new rhythm, one that sounded like relief. The ink absorbed the pattern, leaving the page clear once more. Only one presence remained unmarked. The ledger's page turned with reverence. Wolfie's chains whispered as the room's attention settled on him. His eyes glowed mint green, bedded with purple, energy contained, steady, immense. Did it do Jovi? I don't think it did. Nope. I'm sorry, Jovi. I don't know why I didn't. The ledger's page turned with reverence. Wolfie's chains whispered as the room's attention settled on him. His eyes glowed mint green, threaded with purple, energy contained, steady, immense. The ink paused. Veronica's hand rested against his forearm, grounding. Familiar. You choose restraint, she said, again and again. The ledger responded by forming no name, no word. Instead, a sigil appeared, echoing the one carved into the archway outside. Chain and choice interwoven, luminous and calm. Wolfie exhaled, shoulders easing as the room accepted him fully. The ledger closed itself with a gentle thump. The table fell quiet. The holiday's light hovered, transformed by recognition, no longer straining toward excess. Bells chimed softly, content to exist without escalation. Veronica straightened, gaze sweeping the room, satisfied. Good, she said. Everyone showed up. Outside, Everglow breathed easier, snow falling with renewed patience. Inside, the night settled into something sustainable. And the door, listening closely, prepared to open again. I have no idea why I skipped Jovi. Sorry about that. Multitasking, says Raps. No worries, Wolfie. All good. Okay. Next chapter. I'm thinking maybe 3 more chapters total. And then we'll call it a night. Well, Joey's, I mean, it's the whole crew, right? Yeah. I don't think he died. He didn't die, exactly. So he should be there. Um, okay. Not to forget Joey this time. Oh, okay. The door did not open right away. Oh, sorry. Chapter 7, The Quiet That Speaks Back. The door did not open right away. It listened. The room held its breath in a way that felt deliberate rather than tense. Lantern light steadied into a low amber glow. The table's hum softened, wood relaxing after the work of attention. Snow outside resumed its patient fall, each flake landing as though it had been given instructions. Jovi stood near the edge of the room, hands folded loosely, gaze lifted toward the beams overhead. He had remained still throughout the ledger's movement, present in the way of someone who understood that timing carried its own authority. The holiday's light drifted toward him, not urgently or insistently, curiously. Jovi noticed. He always did. He met the glow with calm eyes, breath deep and even, posture open. The ribbons of light slowed further, their movement smoothing into gentle arcs that mirrored his rhythm. "You're listening for permission," Jovi said quietly, voice carrying without effort. "And you already have it." The bells chimed once, soft and questioning. "You don't need to perform meaning," he continued. "Meaning emerges when people feel safe enough to experience what's already present." The room warmed, not in temperature, but in tone. The ledger on the table shifted slightly, pages rustling though it remained closed. Veronica watched him with focused interest, head tilted, smile small and appreciative. She said nothing, letting the moment breathe. The holiday's glow dimmed into something deeper, richer, its ribbons drawing closer to Jovi without touching. The bells chimed again, this time in a pattern that felt reflective, almost reverent. Jovi stepped forward one pace. "Celebration holds grief," he said. "Joy remembers longing. Ritual gathers what the year leaves unfinished. You've been carrying all of that without rest." The light pulsed, absorbed the words. The room's beams creaked softly, settling further into alignment. The ledger slid open on its own. Ink gathered slowly, deliberately, forming Jovi's name with steady lines that did not rush themselves. Jovi. No symbol followed. No flourish, no embellishment. The name simply rested on the page, complete. Jovi inclined his head slightly, acknowledging rather than claiming the moment. The ink sank into the paper, leaving behind a faint warmth that spread through the table and into the floor. The holiday's ribbons loosened, their glow evening out, tension dissolving into coherence. Bells chimed once more, content, their sound threading gently through the room and out into the streets beyond. Outside, Evergloam responded. Lanterns along the rooftop steadied. Doors eased shut where they had burst open too wide. Laughter softened into conversation. Confessions found their way into quieter places where they could be held properly. Sammy Claus wiped at his eyes with the back of his glove, then sniffed. That was weirdly nice. Willow hovered closer to Jovi, glow subdued and thoughtful. "Do you do that often?" Jovi smiled faintly. "I pay attention." Casper leaned against the table, expression uncharacteristically contemplative. Nomad tipped his hat again. Lower this time, respect threaded into the gesture. Wolfie stood tall and grounded, chains at rest, eyes glowing steady mint green, the room's calm reflected in his stance. Veronica stepped forward at last, heels clicking softly against the floor, presence gathering the room back into motion. She placed one hand on the table, the other gesturing lightly toward the door as it began to unlock itself with a sound like wood stretching after sleep. "That," she said, tone satisfied, "was exactly what the night needed." The door opened. Beyond it, Evergloam waited, streets calmer, lanterns attentive, the holiday's energy braided into something livable rather than volatile. Veronica smiled, sharp and warm all at once. "All right," she said. "Let's put this back where it belongs." The bells chimed in agreement, and the city, grateful and watchful, prepared to carry the rest of the night forward. Chapter 8. How the Knight Gets Home. Evergloam received them gently. The door closed behind their backs with a sound like approval, and the streets beyond unfolded into something calmer. Lanterns spaced evenly now, their light warm and unhurried. Snow fell with purpose again, lakes choosing their landings with care. The city felt lighter, as though it had set something down and stretched afterward. The holiday drifted above them, its ribbons thinner, its glow steadier, bells chiming only when something worth marking occurred. It no longer pressed itself into windows or voices. It moved alongside the night, attentive rather than insistent. Sammy Claus walked ahead, sleigh trundling along behind him, humming a tune that kept changing keys. He paused to hand a small wrapped parcel to a bundled figure standing in a doorway. "Good human," he said, brightly. The figure laughed, surprised and grateful, clutching the gift like a promise. Willow floated just above the cobblestones, practicing a new kind of presence. He drifted past a shuttered shop and let his glow soften instead of sharpen. The window pane shimmered faintly, reflecting him with a dignity he hadn't rehearsed. He noticed. He hovered there a moment longer than necessary. Casper appeared beside a couple arguing quietly near a fountain, listened for half a breath, then vanished again, leaving behind a folded note written in elegant script. The runes along his skin glowed gently, pleased with subtlety. Nomad lingered at an intersection, watching the way the streets now held their shape. He nodded once, satisfied, then tipped his hat to no one in particular. Somewhere far away, a contract loosened its grip and went dormant, content with the work already done. Dobie walked with measured steps, gaze lifting to the rooftops where lanterns reflected in the snow like scattered stars. He breathed in deeply, then out, and the holiday's bells chimed once, acknowledging the rhythm. Wolfie stayed close to Veronica, chains quiet, armor reflecting the lantern light in clean lines. His eyes held their mint-green glow, calm, threaded with readiness. The city gave him space without fear, stones firm beneath his weight, aware of a choice he carried so faithfully. Veronica moved at the center of it all, coat catching the light, boots marking a confident cadence that the street adopted willingly. She glanced upward, meeting the holiday's glow. "You did well," she said casually. "You stretched, you listened, you learned something." The ribbons brightened slightly, pleased. The bells chimed, small and proud. They reached the edge of the square where the night had first unraveled. The market stalls stood quieter now, vendors packing up with satisfied smiles, conversations lingering rather than spilling. The obelisk's runes had settled into a slow, steady pattern, content to observe rather than provoke. Veronica stopped. The group gathered around her, the city leaning in just enough to listen. "This is where we leave you," she said to the holiday. "Dispersed, shared, light enough to carry." The glow hovered, then slowly expanded, thinning into the lanterns, the snow, the breath between words. Bells chimed one last time, then faded into the city's usual sounds. Evergloam exhaled. Sammy Claus clapped his hands together. "Well, that was productive." Willow beamed. Casper smiled softer. Nomad stretched. Joby nodded once, satisfied. Wolfie stood steady, presence grounded and sure. Veronica turned, pink hair catching the lantern light, smile curved with quiet triumph. "Good night," she said to the city. Evergloam answered by keeping its doors warm and its streets kind. And somewhere, as the night carried itself home, the holiday rested, lighter than it had been in years. I think that's the end of the story. It sounds like a very natural ending, and I was going to do one more chapter, but I think that that's a really good place to stop. So I hope you guys liked the special holiday one shot. I'm gonna make a streamer. Throat's gonna hold out tomorrow. Yeah, it'll be fine tomorrow. It's just a little bit irritated now from all the talking. But I'm gonna have probably some soup or something, and that should fix me right up. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for participating in that. That was really fun. That means you gotta start streaming longer to practice Keep the voice practiced. Some chicken broth soup. Yeah, exactly. I liked the story. It was great. I enjoyed it. Yeah, kind of. I like the idea of the holiday as its own like entity. That was kind of cool. I didn't like the Clanker came up with that entirely. I really gave it no instructions beyond it being like fantasy and then giving a little twist to each of your little character descriptions. And a picture of my character. I mean, I do a lot of work with ChatGPT for my channel, so it knows the energy I go for and the vibe. So I just told it to keep using that. Will possessed something. Yes, he did. He, well, kind of possessed a door. A door, yep. All right, guys. Well, that was delightful. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. This was a long stream, and you guys stuck around for all of it, so that's amazing. Thank you so much. Anyone have someone they'd like to raid tonight? Never thought we'd see the day. It was something at least. Cozy Beam, she's having internet issues. Oh, okay. You don't, says Wolfie. I don't says Wolfie. We should raid one sec. Okay. Nomad.
I can't hear you.
Oh my god. It's not helpful. Are you trolling me again, Nomad? I wouldn't troll, that's ridiculous. Well, I think someone's playing Warframe. We can raid out to them. Let me just see if there's someone new. One has been called pre-holiday vacay stream. That, you know. We could do Shiny Yessie. Okay, yeah, I don't know who that is. Teasing and troll, all part of the fun from chat. Yeah, holy shit. Streaming Sonic Racing. Okay, cool. So what's the full, is it one word, perhaps? Can you give me the exact handle? One word. Shiny Essie. Okay. Alright, guys. Like I said, I would love to do a stream tomorrow. I really don't know if it's going to happen. It's going to depend on how much I get done and how soon people are getting in and stuff. So if I don't see you tomorrow, have a wonderful holiday and Merry Christmas. Thank you guys for making my holiday stream super special and awesome. A fellow Canuck from Mexico. Oh, fun. That's awesome. And yeah, I will see you after Christmas. It might be a bit. It might be the last, like it might be after New Year's, honestly. We'll see. I'll try to fit a stream in between, but I'm going to have a house full of people for a very long time. So if I don't see you before then, have wonderful holidays, everybody. Love you all. I will be definitely keeping in touch on Discord for sure. Absolutely. And I'll let you know what's going on for stream. So, all right. Thanks again for the stream. We'll message and wish you in between. Of course. Absolutely, guys. All right. Thanks again. Love you all. Happy holidays. And let me put this in here. Okay, we're ready to raid. Let's go yell parade at Shiny Yessie. Good night, everybody. Bye.